Native North America cliff dwellings.
The Pueblo people.
The civilizations of southwestern North America are mainly situated where present-day Colorado, Arizona, and New Mexico are located. The region is known to have cold, snowy winters and hot, dry summers, which influenced the architecture of those who inhabited the area. Most inhabitants fall under the title of the Ancestral Pueblo people and lived in cliff dwellings sheltered by plateaus. After being nomadic for hundreds of years, around 600 CE, many groups started settling down and began to practice agriculture. The surplus of food they got from farming allowed them to create civilizations and have people specialize in making various tools and objects, such as pottery, bows and arrows, and spears. Basket makers were also very common among the various peoples. Often murals of geometric shapes, patterns, plants, and animals were painted on the walls of the dwellings using earthly plasters of pink, brown, yellow, red, and blue. Here, the structure being made is known as the Cliff Palace and is part of the cliff dwellings at Mesa Verde. The Ancestral Pueblo people who occupied the dwellings were later known as the Anasazi and were located there from 600 to 1300 CE. Around 750 CE, they started building the dwellings using poles and mud. The structures were later built with thick sandstone walls and mortar. The Cliff Palace had over 150 rooms, 50 of which were connected. They also had special rooms for religious rituals known as kibas, which were located at the front. The rear and upper levels of the buildings were mainly used for crop storage. Being able to farm and store crops led to a better overall diet for the people. They mainly grew beans, corn, and squash, and hunted deer, squirrels, and rabbits. They also supplemented their diets by gathering various plants. In addition, they had domesticated dogs that helped hunt and turkeys which they ate. The surplus they had allowed them to trade with neighbors for objects such as seashells. Any garbage they had was usually thrown down the slope in front of them. The Anasazi wore hides, warm footwear, and feather cloth robes made from the feathers of turkeys. They wore these clothes to be able to protect themselves from the rough terrain and cold winters. During the winter, they also built numerous fire pits which caused various walls to be blackened by the smoke. Within Mesa Verde, each family occupied several rooms and built additional rooms as the family grew. Several families made up a clan, which was matrilineal. Each clan would have rights to its own agricultural plot and its own kiva. When hot, the area was susceptible to droughts, which is what probably led them to abandon the dwellings in the early 1300s. Before they left for southern New Mexico and Arizona, their classical period from 1100 to 1300 CE included them completely finishing the building of the cliff dwellings. At a given time, their population averaged at 100 people and the lifespan was from 32 to 34 years old. It is believed that their society was matrilineal, which means determining descent through the female line in a family. To this day, archaeologists still don't know who the Anasazi traded with, what gender roles they had, or what religions they practiced. The ancient Anasazi people used the environment to its fullest extent. They used digging sticks for farming, stone axes for clearing land, and they made tools for grinding, cutting, pounding, chopping, perforating, scraping, polishing, and weaving from stone, bone, and wood. The dry climate of the southwestern region has allowed many archaeologists to discover cultural aspects and towns of the Anasazi people. This is because the dry climate has allowed for many more artifacts to be preserved than it would have been in a humid climate.